flatland like a man on the run, riding down Highway 61. Sides of the roads all lined with fields, nothing but sunset in the windshield. Feel it as soon as I ride into town. This is where I go to slow down. Miles and miles of soybeans and corn. I'm in the place where the blues was born. About a mile from the big muddy river, place I'll always remember. Cabin on the lake and a fishing pole. Forever here I'll rest my soul. I can feel my worries drift away from being out in the sun all day. No matter where in the world I go, I'll always find home on the banks of that oxbow.
What's up, guys? Got Brad Chappell back. We at the Grizzly Spring Show 2023. I got two of my buddies here today with me. Let you introduce yourselves and tell us where you're from and what do you do?
Tim Howell, Long Branch Guide Service over in Mississippi on the Big Four.
I'm John Mayo with JH Guide Service on the Big Four.
Yep. I got some my Mississippi buddies with me today.
That's right.
We get to talk to people all across the United States, and I got you two guys on here because when I think of spider rigging, I think of both you guys still. I know you do other tactics as well, but, we've been doing this for a long time as far as pre-live scope. And I want to talk about the basics of springtime spider rigging in some shallow water. And I think of the Big Four, and you got to know how to do that.
No doubt, no doubt.
Yeah, it's a tried and true method, always
Yep.
will be, and it's still both of our favorite ways to fish.
Yeah, it's still such a fun way to take people out on the lake and catch crappie and relaxing while you're doing it.
That's right.
It's laid back, a lot less intense, and
Yeah.
anyone can do it. That's the best thing about it.
That's it.
We'll go through there, and I want to talk about equipment and, what are you guys using from what's on your line, size of your line, to the size of why you change weights. And I'm going to elaborate along those same lines as well, but, I want you to go through there and actually tell us what you're using, and from even the rod holders, because, that's a very big part of what we do
Sure.
as well. You got to have rod holders. But, John, kick it off down there.
So my favorite rod for springtime is an 18-foot PST by B&M. It's very versatile.
Yeah.
Reason I use an 18-foot strictly to try to get my bait away from the boat.
Yep.
When you get in really shallow water, fish will get spooky. So the 18-foot does seem to help in that situation.
No doubt.
And I like to run my weight on the bottom. The reason that I do that is we fish a lot of structure. If we do get a bait hung or a weight hung, we can take that rod out of the rod holder, give it a little slack, pop it, and about 99% of the time get it loose.
You're running 8 poles at a time or 6?
We run 8 poles.
8 poles.
8 poles at a time. I've used 10-pound monofilament my entire life.
Right.
It's what I still like to use. I use gamma line.
Yep.
One of the tips that I have for you, we'll start out really early. We'll start our guide season up here pretty soon. I put a locking snap swivel on the bottom. The reason I do that, I use a bass cast sinker. And so I've got everything in my boat from a ½ ounce, 3/4 to a 1 ounce. Days that we need to go a little faster, I literally can swap my weights out in a matter of, a few seconds versus retying. And that's why I do that.
I think that's a big key that, being able to change up even weight sizes, and while we do different weight sizes, speed and depth is always the main 2 factors when it comes to spider rigging in my mind.
That's right.
If you want to go to extremely slow and extremely shallow, you can use literally as light as even an 1/8.
That's
That's
correct.
correct.
3/8 is a really good
Yeah.
weight to start with because this time of year you're going to be going super slow.
Right.
and throughout the year, and it may change during the day while you're out there. Those fish, as the sun comes up, may get more active, so you may want to go from a 3/8 to a 1/2 ounce to speed up a little bit.
Yeah.
The faster you can go and get a reaction strike, the better off you are.
More cover and more water.
Cover more water. And that seems to be one of the keys, and it can change within the day, as the sun comes up and the water warms up.
Right.
And so the locking snap swivel, I've gotten really used to it. I can, swap weights.
What size hooks are you using typically?
I primarily, on my minnow hook, I will use a 1/0. That's been my favorite. Gold minnow hooks, pretty much standard in
Caught a lot of
Mississippi.
fish, hasn't it?
I probably caught more fish than anything.
Yeah.
I'm a mustad hook guy. I always liked them. That's what I use. But any hook will work. I have seen some days, we actually got to talking this morning, even hook color matters sometimes.
Oh, yeah.
I remember a tournament I fished at your home lake, Lake Washington. Only fish we could catch was on a red minnow hook.
Yeah.
Why? We threw everything in the boat at them.
I probably wanted a rosy red.
May have been. But
They like them up there.
They do, don't they?
They like them.
literally, that's all we could catch them on was a red minnow hook.
Yeah.
So even hook color sometimes does matter.
Yeah, and we've said it so many different times on the podcast here is it's all these little details that make the difference between being a fisherman to a good fisherman to an excellent fisherman. But spider rig has always been about details as well.
You're exactly right.
There was always details that somebody made a slight change up and figured out something that nobody else did to win tournaments, and that's comes back from spider rigging, just like any other technique. People have the perception that you're just sitting out there floating and there's nothing to it.
That's a lot to it.
There's a whole lot to it.
It's like you said, pay attention to the details. The minute details makes a whole lot of difference in what success and failure.
Tim, go ahead and spit out some of your good details.
I start out in the spring. Y'all got to bear with me. My voice is about to go.
Let's
got
get
a
the
head
thing
cold.
to you then. There you go.
I use 16-foot ACC crappie sticks.
Yeah.
Caps and Coleman rod holders, individual rod holders are my favorite. I've used through the years. I've used them all. Used all different kinds of rods and stuff. And this is what I've settled on is my preference.
Yeah.
10-pound slime line monofilament is my favorite. I like line with a little stretch in it.
Yeah.
For spider rigging for sure. I rig in the spring. I just use 2 quarter-ounce jig heads. Is what I go to. Is what I start with in the spring. And fish strict jigs, no minnows, straight jigs, with no weight, just 2 quarter-ounce jig heads.
All those setups there, have you noticed like in the spring they use bigger baits typically or smaller, or how do you kind of go about even on wood artificials?
I like a
size?
big profile early in the spring because the water's muddy.
Right.
And I think they can see that profile a lot bigger. And this time of year, that muddy water, I think they got to see the bait before they can hit it.
Yeah.
And especially spider rigging. I know everybody's live scoping now, and they want it, you put it dead on their nose and they'll eat it. We can see now why, before live scope, why we use those big baits early in the spring. It's because they can see it better, I think.
Yeah.
And it showed us now why that's happening. Big baits, high, bright colors, grenade gold,
Oh yeah, I love it.
orange chartreuse, pinks and purples, limes, yeah, great.
Black and pink's good.
Yeah, wonderful color.
On my setups, I'm gonna use a 16-foot BGJP, B&M for the guys that are listening. And it's a real soft touch pole that literally I believe that a minnow could come by and sweat on it and it's going to see the tip move. But kind of like Tim said, I'm going to go back to history for me on Grenada and pre-live scope. I held the heaviest stringer for Magnolia Crappie Club for 20 years off of Grenada in the springtime spider rigging. And it was 19 pounds, 1942 I think was actually the weight. And what we used that day was actually a single quarter.
Yep.
And it was a Roadrunner pony head style jig head with no artificial on it that day.
Straight minnow.
Straight minnow. with a big jig head and a big blade, pushing them. And you hear a typical crappie setups, and that one was pretty much, at that time, I never heard anybody else doing it, and kind of actually lucked up on it that day when we come across it. But just a single quarter pushing them in some shallow ditches was the key to win that tournament on Grenada. I don't even know the year, but quite a few days ago now. But even the big stringers like that happen from before live scope.
That's right.
Spider rigging dominated crappie fishing tournaments forever.
Forever. And it's going to be around.
It's going to be around forever. But, we all three had a little bit different setup here. But in the grand scheme of things, every one of these work.
That's right.
Maybe different days. Yeah. Tim's might outcatch that setup that I've talked about, and same way with John. So I think that there's a perception when it comes to spider rigging. If you have never done it, one of the biggest perception is it's boring. How boring do you think that it really is?
Man, at times it can be a little monotonous, but man, when it's on, it's fast and furious.
Yeah.
It's nothing like it. And it's relaxing, like John said earlier, you can get out there on a boat with your buddies and, kick back and relax and cut up and rib each other and have fun. And
it's a team sport.
Yeah, it is a team sport. It's definitely a team sport. It's just fishing. You're out there having fun, kick back. You're not tense and up on the edge of their seat, just running and gunning wide open nonstop all day. It's what fishing's about to me.
Yeah.
It's going out and having a good time and just relaxing.
Yeah, I mean it's kind of like us three sitting here right now, and it's kind of like the front of a boat.
That's right. That's exactly right.
I mean, this is how close you are to somebody fishing to us. So, I mean, you don't have to say, hey, man, what's going on way back in the back or anything. You're sitting right next to whoever you're fishing with.
That's right.
So you've got a really good communication, especially going to the people or person to your right or left. And it's a team deal for sure. I don't know of anybody that really dominated in crappie fishing world by themselves ever.
No.
Because it needs a team member.
It takes two people really to get out there and spider troll. It really does.
Not saying you can't do it by yourself, but I mean, you got somebody to help you net them.
That's right. To do it effectively,
that's right.
you need someone with you.
So I mean, I think it brings back, if you want to spend quality time with somebody, really to me, probably the best way to go would be spider rigging, just about, because you're sitting right there next to them, you're communicating easily.
One of the best things about it, Brad, is everyone can do it.
Yeah,
that's right.
It isn't,
a one-man show.
That's right. It's not limited. A kid can do it.
Yeah.
My mom can do it.
Right.
Everyone can do it, and you can enjoy time with people.
Yep.
Relax, have fun, and catch fish.
Well,
that's what it's about.
And there's no right or wrong way to do it.
Yeah.
I mean, you go out there with with what you don't have to have the best of equipment.
Right.
You can go out there and just figure it out on your own. What we've talked about's not the right way or the wrong way. Go try different methods and different setups, and it all works.
Yeah.
What works for you may not work for me or
That's
John
right.
or Brad.
Yeah.
Just go out there and try different things. Go out there and fish.
And that's what it all goes back to. And it's a really productive way to put fish in a boat, spend time with whoever you're fishing with. And it can be very relaxing and very rewarding. And it has been for years. I don't know how long spider rigging's been out, but it's been around since I've been crappie fishing anyway.
Yeah. And it's here to stay. It's
here
not
to
going
stay.
anywhere. That's what I guide. 250, 300 days a year, and that's how I guide every day.
Yeah.
And that's what I'll continue to do that every day.
Yeah.
People, like you say, there's so many ways to do it.
Right.
Find what you enjoy to do.
Yeah.
Whatever style it may be, whether it be slow trolling, power trolling, but it's all about getting out there with friends, family, people you enjoy, making memories. That's what it's about.
Right.
And, that style of fishing has been around forever, and it will continue to be around forever.
When we're thinking back to the springtime, when you can pick any lake that you want to, and but how do you start out in a day picking an area to spider rig in the spring? What are you looking for in the springtime to spider rig an area?
I'm going to find the bait fish.
Okay.
Number one, starting out. On our lakes, of course, as the water's rising, you're going to follow the water up.
Yeah.
They're going with that fresh water. They're moving with the water. And find your little creeks, the depressions, and they're going up with it, and they're getting ready to start moving shallower and shallower to get ready for the spawn. And find the little the little areas where the bait fish are moving up, and they're going up with them, and you'll get them. Me and John fish a lot alike in that aspect. We fish Enid a lot, and
Yeah.
a lot of days we run into each other most every day because we
Right.
run on top of each other because we're thinking alike on that. He can probably elaborate more on it too.
I've grown up there on that lake, lived there my entire life, and what Tim said, if I was going to go out springtime, going to go spider rigging, one of my keys I look for, I already know the areas I'm going because
Right.
I've lived there my entire life, but creek channels, ditches,
Yeah.
they use them just like a highway,
That's right.
just like we use. That is their travel corridor where they're going to spawn. But probably one of my keys that I look for, and it goes back to old school wading, is I pay a lot of attention to water temperature.
Uh-huh.
You may move 300 yards down the lake and it may be 2 degrees warmer water temperature. Those areas, those fish are going to filter in first. Your male fish will move into that warmer water first.
That's right.
When you're looking at water temperature, and you bring that up into this conversation, which is good. What's some of the key water temperatures to key in on and say, all right, 65 degrees, I'll throw that out there. Do I need to be shallow?
Yes.
Oh, certainly.
Yeah.
65, yeah, they're doing it.
Yeah, 65. If I see 65 on my unit in the morning time, I know without pretty much a shadow, I need to be looking really shallow for fish.
Extremely shallow.
Yeah.
When
1
you
or 2
think you're
feet.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah, when you think you're shallow enough, keep
Yeah.
going.
Right.
Yeah.
What's the shallowest you've seen crappie spawn on the Big Four?
Oh, less than a foot of water.
We caught them last year wading literally with probably 4 to 6 inches of line out. You could actually see fish moving in the vines and stuff.
Yeah, they're going to get as shallow as they can get.
Isn't that crazy?
It's crazy. It is crazy.
They will
It's
run.
fun, but it's crazy.
Yeah.
They will run. They're almost like a salmon when it comes to this. It's what I think of a salmon. They will run as far as they can go, possibly go up a creek or a river. When you think you've gone far enough and you hit a sandbar, get out, drag your boat over a sandbar, put your motor back in the water and keep on going. They will get. It blows my mind how far they will go.
And they'll do it overnight. They'll move up fast on you.
Let's say if you go into one of these lakes and it happens a lot, and it's going to happen this spring like we've seen it. We've got let's say a week of really warm weather. Fish are starting to go shallow. Water hits 65, and all of a sudden you got a big old cold front come in. What are you going to do?
I'm going to pull back out.
Pull back out some?
They'll pull out, yeah.
Yeah, they will ease back out. They may be up in a ditch or a creek channel, river channel. Wherever they are at, they will ease. They will migrate back out to a creek mouth, but they won't go real far. Once they start, you'll be surprised. A lot of the males will stay in shallow. A lot of the females will pull back out and hang out in deeper water.
It's even my mindset is, it can be whatever tactic you're doing, but if I'm going to look for a trophy fish in the springtime spider rigging, I want to stay on that, usually the outside skirts of the spawning flat or whatever, or creek. And we say creek in these core lakes and other lakes as well. It's kind of misconsuming as far as what I'm saying. I'm not looking for a big drop off.
Correct.
Right.
We're talking about 6 inches.
Right.
Yeah, or less.
Or less.
Yeah.
A creek coming in and out of these areas might be literally inches
Correct.
difference.
Right.
And that's all it is.
just depressions. Our lakes have silted in so much over the years.
Right.
That on out in the lake where our creeks used to come out in our lake bed, it may only be 2 or 3 inches. But they still use that 2 or 3 inch difference in the contour for a travel corridor.
And that's, goes back to my mindset is people thinking that there's not a lot of going into spider rigging as far as the thought process.
Oh, it's a lot.
And there's so much more to it to be good at it.
Well, you could, like John said, you could miss that seam. You could be on left or right of that little depression.
A boat width.
Yes, right.
Yeah.
And not catch anything. And I could be sitting in that depression wearing them out.
Yeah.
And boats on the left or right of me just out of it and not catch a fish.
That's one thing I see a lot and have seen a lot through the years. And, you're in an area and there's different boats, especially, in Mississippi. There's a lot of people that come and visit and go crappie fishing. And I'll just see people just fishing and not paying attention to anything. All of a sudden I see them in 40 foot of water, for example. And
they're
then
just randomly going.
Just randomly going and spider rigging. And I think that's probably one of the mistakes I see
Most certainly.
when it comes to spider rigging in the springtime is, hey, key in on something. And some days it takes days to figure out a really good pattern to work on.
That mapping system to me in the spring spider rigging is the most important tool I have in my boat.
By far.
I would trade everything I've got for that mapping system. And when I catch a fish, I'm thinking, all right, why?
Right.
Where, why was that fish there?
What's going on?
Yeah. And be thinking about that. Pay attention, to where you were at and, what was up under the boat, where you caught that fish and why. And it won't take long and you'll put it together.
Yeah.
That's a really good tip. I tell everybody to pay attention why you caught that fish, where you were at, and what was going on when you did it, and start looking for similar places like that.
That's right. One day you might be able to fish, say, the southern end of these lakes, and you were tearing them up.
Right.
Well, there was a reason those fish were there, and most likely you can find them in a different section of that lake that might be protected or what have you. If you look at a map on your card or paper maps, they're still selling tons of paper maps, but looking at where you're fishing at and finding another area that matches it just off a map.
That's right.
I won a tournament, never even pre-fished an area. By pre-fishing the day before, and couldn't fish it during the tournament. So come back and looked at a map and found the exact same scenario on a whole different section I even pre-fished. And showed up over there and was like, oh, man, I'm a genius. And really just luck.
Right.
I mean, don't get me wrong, but paying attention to those details. If I didn't have, we wouldn't have done anything.
It's funny sometimes, and I know this has happened to y'all, but you'll be going along slow trolling, and all of a sudden one side of the boat I have 2 or 3 fish on their outside pole.
Right.
There's a reason. You've got 8 poles out.
Yep.
All of a sudden 2 fish bite that outside pole. There's a reason that fish was there.
Sure.
You get off of a contour, literally.
Yeah.
You can have one side of the boat literally catching fish and the other side not getting a bite.
That's right.
And, it's a reason those fish are there.
I think of the spider rigging that come really a lot of play on Lake Washington through the years was you could be going and all of a sudden you hit your trolling motor and turn it to the left. All right. It didn't matter just a change of direction.
That's right.
And all of a sudden, bam, your pole's doubled up because it's got a slab on there because of that bait was just cruising along, and then all of a sudden you hit that trolling motor and it jerks it away, and the fish, no matter what the bait was.
Well, that also, to me, that tells me a little bit too about how fast they want that bait, the speed. When you turn, if all of a sudden you make a turn and you get bit on your outside poles, that tells me that I need to speed up.
Right.
Or if I get bit on the inside poles, it tells me I need to slow down.
Absolutely.
So if you pay attention to that, that'll tell you a lot as well. Just like I said, the details, man. You got to pay attention to the details, and you'll definitely catch more fish.
Yeah, I mean, and that's one of the reasons I wanted you guys to be on here with this show is because I know y'all value details when it comes to spider rigging, and it's still such a great way to crappie fish. And if you haven't done it, would definitely recommend doing it. And, take somebody out there and have fun, communicate with them.
Exactly.
Shoot the bull.
That's the key to it, is getting people on the lake, showing them how to do it,
Yeah.
but having fun.
What's a mistake you see people are when they get in the boat and they get a bite on the pole? What is a common mistake they do trying to land a fish on a 16 or an 18-foot pole?
They do not set the hook.
Yeah.
Do not set the hook.
People have a misconception. They have to get the rod out of the rod holder
Right.
before setting the
Yep.
hook. When you push that pole forward, all you're doing is pulling that bait out of that fish's mouth.
Right.
It's probably the toughest job we have is hook set.
Yeah.
It sounds funny,
Yeah.
but
Smack it.
Yep. Yeah. Hook sets are free.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
what
that's
I tell
right.
them. Yeah, hook sets are free. Try to break that pole.
Yeah.
Yeah, break it. I mean, you're not,
All these poles that we've talked about today, I mean, you can lay into them and set the hook and drive that hook home. But, if you take that pole and you just kind of lift it up, and like John said, you're trying to shove it out of a rod holder. All of them are designed just to lift straight up.
That's
so
right.
you don't have to push it forward, and you don't want to gingerly kind of
no.
paper mouth.
that's it.
I hate that word, paper mouth.
Yeah, I do too.
Everybody says, well, I've always been told they're
Yeah.
paper mouth.
You got to put some steel in them.
Yeah, I was like, man, you've said that now. We've got that out of the way. Just disregard it in your thought process.
That's right.
That's right.
These things can hold a good hook set. So slam that pole into their face.
Hey,
That's it.
if you can boat flip a 2-pounder,
Yeah,
you can set the hook on a
That's right.
2-pounder.
Exactly.
another thing after they hook the fish that I see people do and have lost some giants through the years, and you both know what I'm about to say. They're gonna put that pole back
Yeah,
down.
go
They're
back
gonna,
down.
They're
Double
gonna let some
dipping is what I
slack
call
into it.
Yeah. Double clutching it.
Oh God! If you set that hook, hold him and keep bringing him.
Coming straight up with it. Yeah, never go back down.
Never go
when
down.
you come up and go back down, that fish is gone. You
It's
give
gone.
him slack, he's gone.
And you think, well, that hook. I mean, I don't know how they get the hooks off, but
Well,
they do.
that's when the paper mouth kind of comes into play.
I
because
guess so.
Well, their mouth is kind of
Thin.
and then when you pop it and set that hook come up, when you
Drop
drop
it.
it back
Oh,
down,
God.
you're letting that weight go down, and yeah, he's gone.
I've had nightmares over that.
Oh no, I can't stand that.
A lot of times you'll tear a small hole in its mouth.
Right, that's
And
right.
so when you give it slack, then that hook
that hook
has area
slips.
to fall back out.
Right.
And
It happens a lot.
a lot. Will drive you insane.
But if you're starting, these things that we just discussed will make you a better crappie fisherman, hands down. If
No
you
doubt.
learn how to set the hook up, bring it onto the boat, and don't ever drop it back forward.
That's right.
The other thing is, I see a lot of people, and I'm telling them they got a bite, and you see that first little bop of the pole.
Yeah.
Get it.
Yeah.
Because they're like,
Hook sets are free.
I have a lot of clients tell me, well, he ain't got it yet. He hadn't got it
Oh,
yet.
yeah.
Like, no.
He didn't move it much.
You're right.
or the
that
rod
first,
will raise up.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that first bop, that's when him hitting, and that second one's him spitting it out.
Yeah. I say, if you see that pole breathe,
Yeah, get it.
if you see it breathe,
Snatch it.
Snatch off.
snatch it. Hook sets don't cost anything
That's
extra.
exactly right.
So, man, I've had a ball with you guys. We
Man,
would
it-
definitely do it again.
Awesome, yeah.
How do you reach you, John?
You can contact us at JH Guide Service. We're all over Facebook. Give us a call, and we'll get you set up, get a trip booked with you.
That's it. Tim?
Long Branch Guide Service, Facebook, internet, phone. Give us a shout.
Hey, and guys, I know these guys always comment as well on today's bike show with us on Tuesday nights. Appreciate y'all guys
Yeah.
doing that.
That's
Really
an awesome
enjoy it.
format.
Yeah,
Awesome
we're having a
format.
blast
Love
doing it.
I wish we could do it every night.
Oh,
Yeah, it's great.
might have me divorced. I don't know. But, if you guys got questions about spider rigging or even some tips that you can give other anglers, whenever this one shows this is going to air, I'm going to have you guys on that week after
Sure.
on the live if you guys are willing to do it with me.
Well, certainly.
And we'll answer some more questions that you got after you listen to
Yeah.
this
That's
podcast.
right. There's so many ways to do it. There's
That's
no
right.
right or wrong
Yeah.
way to do it.
So many methods, so many
So many
different
methods.
techniques.
And it's
that you
so fun.
fine-tune it.
That's
It
right.
is.
It is
a great
fun.
way to fish. Great way to fish.
Make sure you hit the subscribe button on there. That way you can join us in on these lives and all
That's
our
right.
podcasts. But man, can I appreciate each one of you guys. each one of you, my buddies, can't wait to do some more stuff with you. Until next time, you got Brad Chappell here.
Tim Howell.
John Mayo.
Holla.
About a mile from the big muddy river, place I'll always remember. Cabin on the lake and a fishing pole. Forever here I'll rest my soul. I can feel